Good morning. I'm hosting Coffee with Bob. 955 years ago today, Westminster Abbey was consecrated. It was on December 28th in the year 1065 that Westminster Abbey was consecrated to the glory of God. Just a year later, on Christmas Day, December 25th, in the year 1066, William the Conqueror held his coronation service there at Westminster Abbey. And since 1066, every coronation service for every British monarch has been held at Westminster Abbey. Now, it all began because of the efforts of one man, Dunstan. Saint Dunstan isn't someone we hear much about, but he really was an incredible man. He was from a noble family, well educated. He was a gifted musician. He played the harp and composed music. He was a gifted artist. He would illustrate manuscripts and was a skilled metal worker. He would be ordained as a priest in around the year 939 and would eventually become the Archbishop of Canterbury. He would be an advisor to the kings during his lifetime and served more like a prime minister because he really had great influence upon them and helped to guide them toward peace. He was an advocate for the poor, which wasn't always the case. He would not only advocate for religious teaching for the poor, but also vocational, so that they could improve their station in life. He also did away during his life with priestly appointments that were paid for. Many times throughout history, people would buy the job as a priest because there was an automatic income, and once you got the job, they didn't do much. He would also ensure that priests were capable of their positions, well educated and compassionate, and that sadly wasn't always done throughout history. He really was just an incredible man, and so many times when we discuss church history, we talk about the mistakes that the people, the leaders in the church made throughout the years, and there's plenty to talk about. But Saint Dunstan was someone who really did get it right. And he would establish many schools and monasteries throughout the country, but one of them was the Benedictine monastery that would give rise to Westminster. Westminster gets its name to distinguish it from another important church in the area, St. Paul's Cathedral. Now, the term cathedral is an official designation to any church where a bishop holds his office. If a bishop has a seat at a church, it's a cathedral. But the term minster is an honorary term for any important or large church of a region. And so Westminster was given its name to distinguish it from the Eastminster Church, which was St. Paul's Cathedral. So Westminster and Eastminster were honorary terms, but that kind of Westminster stuck. Now, the Eastminster Church was dedicated to St. Paul, and the Westminster Church was dedicated to St. Peter, and that came about because Edward the Confessor was a very devout man, and early in his life, he made a promise to God that if he ever became King of England, he would make a pilgrimage to visit St. Peter's in Rome. Now, when he became king, his advisors told him it wasn't a smart decision to make that trip at that time. And so he got a dispensation, an allowance from the Pope that instead of making the pilgrimage, he could build a church dedicated to St. Peter instead. And that church was Westminster. So you have St. Paul and St. Peter, each with their church in London. It is an incredibly beautiful, historic, important church in all the world. And it all came about because of the work of Saint Dunstan. Now, Saint Dunstan dedicated his life to righteousness and serving God and his country. And it shows that anytime we dedicate our lives to God and making a difference in the world, good things will happen. And sometimes things beyond our wildest imagination. Because from Saint Dunstan came a church that has incredible historic significance, and for 955 years has been dedicated to serving God. Hope you have a great day.